So hi everybody, today we're going to be having a look at how we can make a pH indicator at home using a red cabbage. So the first things you'll need is a red cabbage, a chopping board and a knife. Please be careful with the knife and take obviously any precautions you need to not to chop your fingers. Okay, our first step is to cut up the cabbage into smaller pieces, okay? They don't have to be finely chopped. So I'm just going to cut off the bottom. Okay. You can remove the outer leaf. We won't actually end up using the cabbage, so if you want to clean it and boil it to eat, you can also do that. Okay, but obviously clean it beforehand. Okay, so I'm only going to use half of the cabbage, okay, because I don't need so much, so I'm going to remove that. Okay. And I'm going to chop this up into smaller pieces to make it easier to fit in my pot. My next step is to fill a pot, as long as it's big enough to carry the amount of cabbage you have, with quite a little bit of water. The water is what is going to end up being used as our indicator. So you want enough water so that you end up with a decent quantity of the indicator. So I filled my pot with some water. I'm going to place it on the hob, put my cabbage in. And I can put that on to boil, okay? The reason that red cabbage can be used as a pH indicator is because it contains a pigment, which is what gives it this color, called anthocyanin. Which as we boil will be released into the water, and that pigment reacts differently to different substance being added to it. If the substance has an acidic pH, we get one color. If the substance has an alkaline pH, we will get a different color. So this allows us to use it as a pH indicator. Now we're going to leave this to boil for around 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. So our pot has only just started to boil ever so slightly, as you can see, and already you can see a change in the color of the water. You want this color to be quite a bit darker before you stop boiling. The more concentrated you allow that color to become, the more you can dilute this liquid and it will still work. So obviously the more universal indicator you can make from the liquid. So after boiling for about 10 minutes, you can see now, first of all, you can see that the cabbage is also slightly less dark. And also our liquid is a much brighter, deeper purple than it was. Okay, now we are going to transfer this liquid into a big glass bowl. Okay, so you need a big glass bowl that is heat resistant. Okay, be very careful that your bowl can withstand heat. And also when transferring, make sure you take every precaution not to hurt your hands or burn your hands on the handles. This pot is made on purpose so I can do it, but you might want to use an oven mitt or any silicone handlers. Okay. Need to be careful with this liquid as it can stain. Once the liquid has cooled, I transferred it into a jug to make it easier to manage. Okay, I have a floating piece of cabbage, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to add some water to dilute the mixture. As you can see, this is very, very dark. I don't need this to be so dark. So I'm going to fill this up with water to the top, okay? So it's around 1 part indicator and 2 parts water. If your solution ended up as dark as mine, you can use that ratio. If you see that you are losing a lot of color when you add water, don't add so much, okay? You don't want it to go too light then. Now, before we continue to use this as a pH indicator, we need to see what it does in different pHs. To do this, we are going to use different household items to find out how this will react to different pHs, different solutions of different pH. So, I have 3 glasses prepared. Okay. And I'm going to pour in a little bit of my indicator in each one. So I have my vinegar, which is my acid, my distilled water, which is pH 7, and bicarbonate of soda, which is an alkaline substance. So now I'm going to add it. So I'm going to start with the acid. Okay. And you can see that the color changed to a reddish pinkish color. My distilled water is going to have no effect because that is pH 7. And as I add the bicarbonate, okay, I'm going to make it up into a solution quickly before I add it. So I quickly made up a little solution of my bicarbonate of soda. In fact, there's still some solid in the bottom. And as I add it, you can see that my indicator has changed to a blue color. You can add the solid directly, but this will have some effect on the color because you will see the white adding like an opaqueness to the color. So since I made it a solution, you no longer see this opaque. You can see it clearly. It's a clear solution like the others. So we're going to zoom in on the different colors. You can test it using this indicator. So just add a few drops and you will see a color change. And now you have a comparative to help you know what color to expect in what pH. Another thing you can do is turn this pH indicator into strips. To turn your pH indicator into pH strips, you will need a coffee filter. Ideally it should be white, not brown, but we're going to try and see if this works with brown. A pair of scissors, a dish which is not too deep, and your indicator that you've just made. So first you can pour in your indicator into your dish. Okay. You are going to want to soak the strips, so you want quite an amount to let them soak. Your first step is to cut off the edge of the coffee filter. Okay. And then you can cut up strips in whatever shape or thickness you feel is better for you. Okay, I like to keep We then place these in the solution. And leave them to soak for a few hours. Once they have soaked for a few hours, you remove them and let them dry on a drying sheet. That was our video about how to make your own pH indicator at home using red cabbage, as well as some pH strips if you'd like. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you managed to do it yourselves.